Hello, and welcome back to the Careers Mare podcast. The Careers podcast that's also a comedy podcast, if you can believe it, where we talk to a different special guest every 2 weeks about their working life and then work with them to create a bespoke dream job. I'm Jacob, and my co host is the tallest man in Bristol, Jordan Andrews. How are you doing, Jordan?
I can barely see you from up here, Jacob. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty well, thanks. I've moved house now, and that's all calming down a bit. I'm settling in. So, this is the first bit of podcast stuff I'm recording in a new house, which is fun. I'm sure you can tell, listeners, the different acoustics. It was obvious right from the start, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I I could tell, mainly because I can see you and you've told me.
that's cheating. You look very snug, Jordan, if I may say so.
Yeah, I've just woken up to tell you the truth, Jacob. Because I was on a pretty heavy night out in Cardiff last night, and I was meant to just have a little afternoon nap to set me right, and I put my head down on the pillow at 4:15, and then I woke up to missed calls from you at 8:30 saying, "Where are you? We need to record the intro and outro." Um,
Yeah, thanks. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I guess it's good for the listeners to know who is really dedicated to this podcast.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of a I'll do it on the night kind of guy, but you're you're the organised one here.
Yeah, I mean, you wanted to do it live, didn't you? This podcast, really.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a whole studio audience in my bedroom right now. I don't know what I'm meant to do with them, Jacob.
Well, it's not right for some, isn't it? Could you list off their names for me?
um, there's John, Jacob, Jingleheimer Schmidt. Um,
What's that from? That sounds familiar.
His name is my name too. Do you remember? You know that song?
No, I've definitely heard that in like a TV show. That
Mm.
name, not the song. I don't think. So yeah, a little mystery already. It's a mysterious episode already, bursting with mystery. And our special guest this week is a very good friend of ours. She was the president of the Southampton Comedy Society when we were also there. You might be getting deja vu listening to this, and that's because Anand Sankar, who was our guest on episode 4, was the vice president of the society at the same time. So you can see there's a pattern here. Eva is in the top 3 funniest people I've ever met, I would say quite confidently. We recorded this episode with her when she was performing at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe back in August, and she was a little bit ill at the time, so it was very good of her to still deliver an episode which, when I was editing it, I genuinely got a headache from laughing twice. Just listening back to it, you're in for a real treat today. She's extremely funny. She's just a great all round careers merit guest, and she has some fantastic, fantastic stories from her relatively short life so far, which I'm really looking forward to getting onto. Really, I think we can just go onto the episode. Really, if you're happy, Jordan. Is there
Yeah.
anything you want to say first and make it all about yourself?
Um, I'm really tired and hungover. Meh. But I suppose we'll talk to Eva. Go and get her on, like I care.
One other thing to note, actually, is we were a bit scared because we nearly lost this episode,
Yeah.
which was a bit of a scare. The software we use to record this podcast doesn't particularly like it if you don't have a wonderful state of the art internet connection. And because Eva was staying in a flat in Edinburgh where it was less than ideal, the software simply refused to record all of her audio. So after a panicked hour, the company that provides the software managed to locate a pretty low quality backup of her audio. So it's fine. I've done my best, to mix it and make it sound all right. But if you hear anything weird in the audio, blame that company that I will not name. Don't blame us. We're really great, actually.
Yeah. And don't blame me because I'm so sleepy and hungover. Me.
Yeah. Oh, no, Jordan. Oh, dear. Well, we should keep it light. It's been a tragedy so far, and it's about to turn into a comedy. So hit it. we normally go in chronological order before ending up at your dream job. When you were really little, what was your first time when you thought, this is what I'd want to do when I was grown up?
I think it was probably a zookeeper. I've always wanted to be working with animals. Yeah, I don't think there was any kind of grand ambitions for doctor or anything like that. But just something with animals, I think. So zookeeper was the classic, the staple one, I think.
Good. And did you have pets?
Yes, so I had at that time I had a dog, a cat that sort of just found us, kind of adopted us. Some rabbits. We had some ducks as well. Yeah, there was a lot of animals and a hamster. So yeah. I did.
Wow, did you live in the country?
Yeah, this is when I lived in Wales, so lots of space in the garden and stuff. And there was also, again, this is another tangent, but there was also, because this was a tiny village in Wales, and up the road was a chimp sanctuary for chimps. So
For chimps.
For chimps. But they weren't just chimps. That was the big deal. So yeah, there was lots of chimps and gibbons and wolves. And
What?
there were wolves there. Yeah, and lots of different other animals, basically. So I think that was a big thing as well that sparked it, because that was, quite a common event to go up to the chimp sanctuary.
So they had chimps and then gibbons, and then presumably the wolves were in separate enclosures.
I think even the chimps and the gibbons were in separate enclosures, actually. I think it was chimps, gibbons, wolves. There were, what are they? The scary ones. I want to say bamboo, but that's not it.
Baboons.
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 Yes.
Baboons, yeah.
Yeah, those. And like goats and stuff
baboons
like
are quite scary.
Yeah.
I think they're the ones that seem the most unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like they'd suddenly just flip out.
And also they don't look as much like people as apes do. So.
Yeah. I think the first time I heard like one of those stories about like there's people in America who have pet chimps and they're fine for a while, and then they suddenly like go berserk and like maul the people who own them. Ever since I heard that, even I've basically been terrified of the idea of being anywhere near anything more than like a tiny monkey without it being in a cage.
I think that's reasonable. I think I wouldn't have wanted to be in the enclosure with these chimps as much as they were. I loved them. Yeah, they're a bit scary.
So you wanted to be a zookeeper.
Yeah.
How long did that dream last for? Or did that continue throughout your childhood, or did things change, priorities change?
I think that's probably always been on the back burner. I think throughout I thought, I would like to work with animals, whether that would be some point I thought, maybe I could go and volunteer and somewhere, or it kind of stayed fairly the same. I don't know if it was necessarily always going to be zookeeper, but I did want to work with animals. But then after university, when I didn't have a job, I did some volunteering for like a local zoo, like a local kind of endangered species zoo thing down the road, and it was horrible and I hated it, and the people weren't very nice and they didn't really respect the animals very much, and it was really weird.
Can you tell the story that I love about you having to feed the big cats?
Yeah, the big cats. Was that the...
Because you said that was one of the more soul-destroying parts, when you had to feed the animals, like sort of dead other animals, but I can't quite remember the story.
Which you'd think I did understand and comprehend that would be something that you would do, but they gave that job to me every time. That was my only job. So and I started having to think of like, do I need to say like little prayers each time I do this? Will that make it any better? And it didn't. But basically, there was lots of things. So there was like, I don't want to get too gruesome, but there was like, there was like little so the ducklings, basically, and baby chicks that you'd have to Oh no! You'd have to explode them. Basically, is the best way I can put it. You like squish them enough that the insides. It's horrible. Melt. Okay, I'm gonna say it very simply, and if there's too much, you can cut it out. But you'd have to twist their heads off, explode them, get the yolk out, because they've still got a yolk in them when they're that small. Twist the head off, get the yolk out, cut it into pieces. That's dinner. And then there was rabbits.
That's dinner.
So I could that's dinner. So I could quite successfully gut a rabbit now, I think, still. That wasn't very nice either, but it was less.
And did you say
scary.
that to yourself when you'd finished? Did you say that's dinner just quietly
That's
to yourself
dinner.
every time you finished doing that?
Yeah, maybe that might make me feel better as well. But
Just like, oh, that's dinner.
That's dinner. Yeah.
Someone across the room says, "What?" And you go, "Oh, nothing."
Nothing.
You wanted to be a zookeeper, and then that crumbled to dust because of the chicks that crumbled to dust by your hand.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done something bad. Got to repay it.
But if we're working in chronological order, what was your first job that you ever had?
I think it was. So I was volunteering as an usher at the theatre, like a little local theatre. So I don't know if that would count as a job, but it did feel like a job.
On
So to go and do
on
it.
Universal Credit, it would count as work search requirements. So voluntary work does count. Yeah.
Great.
And was that as an usher impersonator, or as in someone
Yes,
who
I didn't do very
shows
well
people
at
to
it.
their seats?
Yes.
Could you give us a
both.
quick usher impression?
I don't even know what any of his songs are. I'm so sorry.
Sounds like you were shit at your job.
Yeah, I
right?
didn't do well. I had no idea I was trying to be usher. I had no idea.
Could you give us sorry, Jordan. I know that you're the only one out of the three of us who'll know any Usher songs. Can you enlighten us about who Usher is? Can you give us a quick impression? Do you know what he talks like?
He sings "Let It Burn."
Let it burn, let it burn. Is it that one?
Yeah. Can't hold back the burn. Let it burn. Ouch. Let it burn. Oh, owie.
Okay, sorry, that's
That's him.
Cut that.
So was that like a volunteering to show people
Yeah,
to be an usher?
Because that was the next sort of thing after the zookeeping was wanting to do something theatrical.
Right, okay.
Or drama-y. So I did a lot of drama clubs, and that was like the next thing of like, oh well, if I get into ushering, I might be able to then work. But this was while I was still in school, so it wasn't like a big thing. But yeah, so I'd go and show people to their seats, and then sit at the back watching stuff. It was all right. It was okay. It was quite. I don't know. It wasn't that rewarding, I'll say, but it was fine. It's what I thought I needed to do at the time to sort of get ingratiated into that community.
Yeah, because you're getting closer and closer to the stage, aren't you? Because like if you're showing people to their seats in the front row, eventually you can just hop up onto the stage.
Yeah, they won't even
and then
realise.
you've made it. Yeah.
Yes.
Then do your one-woman show.
Yeah.
Were you wanting to do at that stage like serious dramatic stuff? Was that what you were imagining, or were you thinking of comedy at that stage?
Well, what had happened was I think I'd done it. This is a bit of a winding thing, but at school we had a history teacher who would make us put on little history plays, little history sketches every week, which was like the best thing ever in my mind. And every week I'd get in a group and be like the boss and make it funny. It couldn't not be funny. It had to be funny in my head, but I didn't know why. And then during drama I'd do stuff, but it would always end up being funny. Well, trying to make it funny. But then I joined a drama group, and again, I did enjoy the acting, like drama-y acting bits, but I always got more reward out. Like I always felt it was more rewarding when I could make people laugh. So I suppose I think any kind of performance I would enjoy, and that's what I did with the ushering. I wanted to kind of get into it, like Amdram and stuff like that, because I really enjoyed the general drama of it. But I would always, if I could get a laugh, try and do that as well. It's like my main target. Yeah, I did Amdram stuff as well. That wasn't really a job, but that was the whole part of the ushering. That was the same sort of community. There was the Amdram and that used that theatre, so that was an in for there as well.
What kind of parts did you have? What were some early Eva Wallis performances?
I had a part where isn't it a lovely? Was it what a lovely war? Yeah. I had to sing in that a bit, and I had to do cartwheels. But the big one my big sort of break, which then ended up not doing anything. Yeah, was in it's a play about these two teachers, and it's
Educating Rita.
No, I can't remember.
Bad teacher.
Yeah, bad teacher.
Was it a stage adaptation?
Yeah. Basically, it was like I had to play a little kid in that, and that was like my big thing.
Was it called Children's Hour?
Yes, it was called Children's Hour. That's very good.
I googled play about two teachers, and
that's it.
The first thing that came up.
There you go. Yeah, it's Children's Hour. That was it. Yeah, that was a big. Most lines that I had was in that.
By Lillian Hellman.
Sure.
I like her mayonnaise.
Yeah, me too.
What age were you then, Eva?
That I think was near GCSE. Actually, I have a feeling that was like 15 or something like that. I was too old to be playing an 8-year-old, but it was either 15 years old or you were 70, so there was like a bit of a gap.
So what was your first paid job then?
My first paid job was Tesco's. So it was very late in life, actually. I was very mollycoddled, and I didn't get a job at uni or anything like that, or a weekend job. The job at Tesco's was during the summer after I left uni. That was like, July to September or something like that. It was not very long, and it was like 3 days a week on the checkouts. And I'd do like 3.25 hours every time, but it felt like it would never end. It felt like it was the longest time that I'd ever been anywhere, and it was horrible. I hated it.
Do you have any good stories about that?
Oh no, what would happen is because I'd get a bit stiff, so I'd be sat down for a while, and then I'd think, I'll stand up, because sometimes I would take longer shifts, and also I would say no to shifts all the time, and apparently you don't do that. That's not something you should do, but I didn't know. But I'd be sat down for a long time, so then I'd stand up, sort of doing the checkouts, and I'd get all these people, because I'm like 5'10", 5'11". I'd get all these old people going, "My goodness, aren't you tall? What are they feeding children these days?" And I was like 20 or something, 21. And that was that just kept going. And they kept it was just a lot of old people. They didn't train me at all, basically. And so I kept doing things wrong, and then getting told like, "This is your first verbal warning." I was like, "Okay, I don't understand what I'm doing though."
That's so extreme.
What do you mean?
That's so extreme.
I had to have a sit-down meeting. I had to have a sit-down meeting. They said, "Now, a customer came back with their receipt and said, and showed it to us, and you'd scanned the bread twice." So that's a first verbal warning. Okay, sorry. And then the other one was, and you put all of the money. So you have to put the money in these like little like chute things, like these little like container things that you'd put in a chute or something to lock it up and be safe at night. And the one that I was on, the little chute was taped up. It was gone. It was like, you can't use this. And I had no idea. I just put the little container like on the chute, thinking I don't know what to do with this. And then that was a verbal warning, I think, because obviously someone could have just taken it and stolen it. But no one had ever told me what to do with this thing. I had to just pretend, like I had to just act like I knew what I was doing with it. That was horrible. I hated that job, but it got money. It was money. So that was my first proper paid job, but it was awful, obviously.
So
how many verbal warnings?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, 2 verbal warnings in my first job. It was awful. It was scary.
Oh, you nearly got that written. You nearly got that
Yeah,
2-1
I
written.
I could have put that up on the wall. Yeah, I know. Shame.
So you did that for a bit. You were the bad girl of Tesco,
Yeah, yeah.
the rule breaker, the maverick. And then what did you move on to after that?
What I would count as my first proper job, which like 5 days a week, full-time job, was the year after, the beginning of the year after, was in Boots Opticians, and that's where things really get going, I would say. I was an optical assistant or something, so I'd do all the tests before you see the optician, all the like puff in the air in your eye and all that stuff, and then
I hate
yeah,
that.
yeah. Sorry, everyone hates that. That's my line. Oh, sorry, everyone hates this.
Everyone hates this. That's you just blowing in their eye.
Yeah, spitting air in their eyes. Yeah, and then I'd have to sell glasses, like really sell them, big time. That was more interesting. There was more to do, and I was busy all day long, and it was really stressful. So it wasn't boring, but it was really stressful because there weren't enough of us, and you'd having to run around doing all sorts, and then you'd have to sell little old ladies loads of different stuff that they didn't need in their glasses. So that felt a bit morally worrying. Yeah, it was all right. I worked. That was the job that I had when. I'm so sorry. Am I allowed to mention COVID? That was when that was when COVID happened. Like the lockdown happened. That was one of the things we were all like, "There's no way they're going to shut Boots down, no matter what happens. This big bosses aren't going to shut Boots down." And then they did, and we had to take all the glasses off the walls and put them away, and it was really weird. And then when we came back, we had to take them all out again and put them all up again. It was really strange, bizarre. I don't think it's ever happened before at that shop. It's weird.
I'm too excited about getting you to tell one story that I need to just leap ahead to it, even though it might be later on.
Yeah.
A story you told us once about a guy, and the only way that I can think of telling it to you is basically by saying the punchline of it. So maybe I'll say it and then I'll bleep it out when I edit this so that it won't spoil it. But it was a story about.
Oh.
So please.
This was my first week. So. Sadly, I don't mean to ruin anything, but sadly, I was not there when this man came. But this was my first week at Boots, and I was at this very small store to get used to how everything ran and everything. So obviously, all these people were like just throwing all these like crazy stories at me. So someone had come in and said, "Oh, I've got these really weird like black marks in my vision. Wherever I look, anywhere, it's like big black marks in my vision, which is really obviously." Really dangerous, could be all sorts of things. And they're doing all the tests and stuff, and basically it got round. What it finally revealed was that his friend had told him that the sunshine is good for your eyes, and so he took that and thought, well, if I stare at the sun for an hour a day, that'll be really good for my eyes. And burnt a hole in his eyes, in his retinas, just got burns. And so all he was looking through, when he was looking, it was just burnt in the middle of his vision. Yeah, it's bad, really bad.
Surely that was painful for him whilst he was doing it.
Yes,
I mean, you've got to respect the persistence to be like, no, I know this is good for me, so I've got to battle through the pain.
Yeah, unbelievable. I know, yeah. But it was quite funny.
But that's literally every child in the world is told when they're little, don't stare at the sun.
Yes, he'd obviously missed that bit and be told otherwise.
I mean, some slip through the nets, don't they?
Can't tell everyone, can you?
And then there was also, you said that there was a teenage girl who came in because she'd scratched her eye and lost the ability to see colour.
Oh yeah.
But then, so do you want to finish that story?
I think this was at Specsavers, so this is jumping ahead a bit, but yeah, she'd scratched. So the whole thing was, she'd scratched her eye. Like, this was an emergency. We've got to try and fit her in somewhere. There's no room in the diary, but God, she scratched her eye and she can't see colour anymore. This is really weird. Let's get her in. Like, we have to cram her in somewhere, and we're all running around. and they took her through and then did all the tests and everything. Came out, and it turns out she was fine. She could see colour, but it was just her mum's birthday and didn't want her mum to have a nice birthday. So she's made up this thing about not being able to see colour. I mean, what? It's the most bizarre reason. It's just to spite her mother. God. But why would you come up with that idea? I don't really know, but yeah.
Yeah, like
bizarre.
did like was she always planning to fess up after a while, or did
I don't know.
did they grill her, or did they say like, oh, we can't see anything wrong with your eye? Are you sure? And then
Yeah, I think they must have grilled her. I'd love to have been in the room, but yeah, I think they must. I think it was they'd grilled her and then said like, "There's nothing." I think the optometrist probably thought, "I've never seen anything like this in my career. I think maybe this is not real." So then, like, dug a bit deeper and found out what the real cause was. But, yeah,
right.
Did they tell her mum?
Oh, the mum. I think mum was in the room with her. That's why the mum was the one that told us.
No.
Mum was the one that told us that she'd basically they'd realised that was what it was going on. Yeah, they'd found out that was what was going on. Yeah, so mum was very unhappy.
That is like next level gold standard pettiness.
Yeah, real spite. Real spite.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what did
very
you
good.
find? So I guess they're both customer service jobs, like Tesco and then Boots Opticians. But what did you find, like, your interactions with customers were of a different flavour, or how did you find it?
I think it was a lot of transferable. Like, it was just a lot of old people. It's interacting with old people in a way that they enjoy. You have to sort of become a different person and talk to them in a different way. It's like talking to children, but like for old people. You just kind of have to say a lot of the same things over and over again. That would be a lot. Yeah, it'd be a lot of the same phrases over and over again, and a lot of sort of saying things that you didn't actually believe, or like talking about the weather when you didn't care about the weather. That's
Sorry, saying things you didn't believe.
Oh,
like,
yeah, sorry. Yeah, just
like
about
what?
sort of like they'd be like, oh, nothing. I mean, I'd never sort of stoop to any sort of horrible levels, but just they'd say stuff like they'd just say some sort of like sweeping statement about, like, I don't know, umbrellas or something, and you're like, oh yeah, no, definitely, I agree with that. Actually, yeah, no, you're so right, and you don't know why you even. I've never thought about it before. I don't care about anything to do with umbrellas, but you have to agree with them to make them feel good about themselves, and then hope they buy glasses or something.
Yeah.
It's you just sort of have to encourage them in their strange thoughts.
And did they keep saying, "Oh, you're very tall. What are they feeding children these days?"
Yeah, no, they didn't so much. Actually, in that job, they didn't so much. The job that I've got now, not to jump ahead, but someone has said to me, "Excuse me, may I ask, what is your height?" So that does still occur. And
What did they want to know?
About it still. They just wanted to know my height, and I just said, "Oh, I just told them."
I've never even
okay.
thought about you being tall. It's never. I've never thought oh yeah, you are really tall, Eva.
I'm the same height as you and stuff, I guess, aren't you? You're a bit taller than me, but I'm not like.
Oh yeah, I'm like 7'2", 7'3", I think. Yeah.
So I think it's just I don't feel tall until I'm around smaller people, which old people tend to be.
I do. I completely get what you're saying, though, about having to talk to old people, because you just have to engage in those pleasantries that you would never, ever talk about in your normal life. It's always the weather. I don't know what their fascination with the weather is. And, well, you're talking about sweeping statements. That's my sweeping statement. Old people love weather. And I'll die on that hill.
It's true.
I'll die on that rainy hill. Because when I was working in CAF on Brownsea Island, National Trust CAF, you can imagine the demographic of people we had visiting like a National Trust place was just pretty much old people and families. And you'd have to, it actually taught me how to like flirt in a good way, because the old girls, they love a little bit of flirting, especially from a younger man, because it's like, oh. So my favourite thing was if they would come to the till and they'd buy a bottle of, if there was like two older women and they were like sharing a bottle of wine, I'd go, can I see some ID, ladies? And they'd be like, oh stop, I haven't been asked that in years. Like, they loved all that.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
But yeah, it's just having to be like overly nice, and like you say, when
Do you
when
do
they
that, Eva?
Yeah, I go, oh, can I see some ID for those glasses?
Hey there, youngster. What are you doing running around with those shades on? But yeah, it's just, I completely get what you mean, because sometimes they would just say insane things. And you just have to be like, yeah, I guess it is like that, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah. We had one lady, she came in, she's like, I'm so sorry. This isn't my current job, I've been at a cafe and I smell like cooked food now and it's awful. I said, oh, well, I wouldn't mind smelling that. It might make me a bit peckish, don't worry. And she said, well, it won't make me peckish. I think it's horrible. So that was I'd done the wrong option.
Yeah, on the dialogue
there's
tree.
The correct option or the bad option, yeah. Sometimes you miss and you get the bad option. You can't predict it sometimes.
So
and that's the nature of older people. They're unpredictable like that, you know.
Yeah, they're unpredictable, and there's only two outcomes: good or bad.
I mean, obviously, we for the listeners who don't know us, obviously we all know each other from uni, and we did comedy together, and that's how we all became friends. Do you think that when you were in uni performing and doing comedy and that kind of thing, did that become more important to you than your study, or is that what you sort of cared more about?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what made me stay at uni, actually. I think probably if I hadn't joined comedy, I was sort of a bit lonely. The people on my course were nice, but I couldn't really connect with them very well. And yeah, I was sort of thinking like, oh, I don't know if this is for me really, because this degree is probably not going to get me very far with anything. And I'm just going back to my room every time after lectures, and that's that. So then when I went to the comedy society, the first meeting or whatever it was, yeah, that's when I thought, oh, actually, I really enjoy this. This is all the things I really enjoyed at school doing, but without all the kind of like having to be fancy drama-y person with it, which I didn't really enjoy. So yeah, that became then my main focus, like the main thing that uni was about really for me. And when I look back at uni, that is still the main thing for me, rather than my degree.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I think
completely.
a lot of us really. I don't think there are that many. I can't think of anyone actually whose degree has like massively shapes post graduation life.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
But yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know you kind of felt that way about your course that early on. So it's good. I mean, I probably would have felt a bit like that as well, looking back, if I hadn't found the Comedy Society.
Yeah. So was there, and it's sort of a similar question we've been asking people that we went to uni with. Was there a point when you were doing comedy that you felt, this is something I could carry on doing? This is potentially a career that I could see myself doing.
Yeah, when was that? I mean, I know the first time I went to Edinburgh and saw lots of comedy. That was good. I'm trying to think if there's a pinpointed moment. I don't know, because I'd never really done it on my own. I don't think I've only ever done sort of sketch stuff or improv stuff. I've never done stuff on my own. But I think Normal Boy was a big thing for me. Like, that was really fun. And I felt like, I'm not sure if it was at uni necessarily that I thought I could do it. I think it was afterwards, since I've been doing sort of more improv stuff after uni. I think that's when that started. But I still don't know if I'm 100% sure, like, oh, this is something I could turn into a career. That's my trouble with it. I'm not sure if that is still... It's what I would love to be able to do, but I'm not really sure I'm the right type of person to do that, like, on my own. So that's still sort of up for debate, I would say, career-wise.
What would a one-woman Eva Wallis show look like?
Oh, I don't know. I did the other before when we were working on this show, on the Birdword show. We did a very first preview, and I think you saw that. Did you see that, Jacob? No, that was the Growing Lads. Anyway, cut that bit out. We, but I had like little segments, and I did a Cilla Black impression, which wasn't really an impression, but that felt good. And I think, we've cut her now from the show because it doesn't really make a lot of sense for the show now. But I have kept the wig.
Can we have a taste of that Cilla Black impression?
It was, hello. It was like, you're right. It's me, Cilla Black. I'm alright, thank you. It was a lot like it was. I've washed up on Birdwood. I've been on a cruise for my 80th birthday. And then someone came up to me and whispered in my ear, and I said, "Oh no, actually, I'm dead. I'm dead, actually." Sorry. Oh dear, what a shame. Did she go peacefully? No. Oh no, what a shame. It's just a lot of that, and it didn't sound like Cilla or look like Cilla, but I think it was funny because I had a big giant orange wig on. So that was the main thing.
Can I just say that I think it's fair to say that a lot of the comedy you've been involved with over the years has involved not minor celebrities, but slightly maybe celebrities who were bigger back in the day. So in our Normal Boy show in 2017, one of the sketches we were proudest of was a sketch about Peter Kay. But this was back this was back before Peter Kay's comeback. So this was when the world was very much on a Peter Kay, like lull. Like he hadn't really been seen for a long time. But Peter Kay actually played quite a central role in our show because he was a kind of supernatural version of himself. Because I don't know if the listener will be familiar with Peter Kay, but one of his kind of recurring, his very much like observational comedy. So he'll often say like, do you remember this? Do you remember that? And he, like that's a lot of it. And so our supernatural version of Peter Kay was able to remember everything that had ever happened or ever will happen, even things that he didn't personally experience, which I seem to remember, and maybe I'm misremembering, but because I did a philosophy degree and I was studying the Scottish existentialist philosopher David Hume, and I was writing an essay about experience. So he believed that everything in our minds is either stuff we're currently perceiving or memories. Like that's it. There's nothing else. And so it was all about, perception and all that kind of stuff. And I'd covered the whiteboard. So I'd gone to the room that we were going to have a Normal Boy writing meeting in. And I'd gone early and I'd written loads of notes for my essay up on the board because I thought I'd do a bit of work while I was there. And then when you and Sean and JG arrived, then we started writing, and we wanted to do a sketch about Peter Kay anyway, I think. And then I was talking about my essay, and I think collectively we thought that would be funny. So then he would start, and then this is a really long explanation. The show ended after the Peter Kay sketch in the middle of the show. The show ended with the four of us getting lost at sea. And then Peter Kay appears to us as some kind of mystical vision. And I think it was Sean that came up with this line, but it was such a perfect line because I really love it in a comedy when they don't bother making a really long explanation for something. They'll just give like a really short, like funny line, and that will explain it. And I think Sean's character asked Peter Kay, how did you know that how did you find us here, or something like that? And he just said, I remembered that I was here, and so I was. So that was one. That was one Peter Kay sketch. The other one that was just a sketch that you just wrote alone was the one about Noel Edmonds.
Oh yeah.
And You're Noel.
I remember this probably because back in the Comedy Society we would have sketch workshops where we'd all just get together and we'd write sketches in groups, and then we'd like read the sketches out to the group and see what reaction we got. And the opening line of your Noel Edmonds sketch got the best reaction I've ever seen any sketch get in any of those meetings. And the first, and I'm going to ask you to explain this after I say it. But the opening line of your Noel Edmonds sketch was, "Hello, I'm Noel Edmonds. I've got orbs on my shoulders and death isn't real." So could you explain what that's about, please?
I think, yes, I can. So I think what had happened was I'd thought, "Know Your Noel" is quite a funny thing to say.
Know Your Noel, yeah, that's what it's called.
And it'll be like all these different types of Noel. So you got Beyonce Knowles is quite a tricky one. That's a tricky one. But then I sort of thought, right, I need to know more about Noel Edmonds. So I Googled Noel Edmonds. Oh my goodness, the things you can find about Noel Edmonds. So I think he does believe that there's like orbs around him and all his shoulders and stuff. And he does think that you can like be positive. Positivity will cure illness and stuff like that. And he's got that little box that he used to cure illness. And so that's basically what So, yeah, the idea of this orbs on his shoulders. And
didn't he think that the orbs were his dead parents? Or
that could be it,
that they were sort of watching over him.
That could well be it. I think it might be something like that. You're right. And he also, I think this was later in the sketch, but he also had like carried like a mannequin doll around with him for quite a while and had it in his car. For some reason, I can't remember why now. But yeah, I think I just basically went on a big rabbit hole thing of finding out about Noel Edmonds and thought, "Oh, that'll do. That'll be a line to begin with."
There's I've just pulled up a Daily Mirror article, Noel Edmonds' most bizarre beliefs, and so it says, in a 2008 interview with the Daily Express, Noel revealed that 2 melon-sized orbs, which he believes are his late parents, visit him.
Yes.
He explained, quote, "They're both the size of a melon, and one sits on my arm and the other is over my shoulder. I like to think they're my parents. Conventional photography can't pick them up, but digital cameras can." "My belief is that these are something to do with some form of spiritual energy. And possibly because I miss my parents like mad, I like to think they are them."
Nice.
That's quite sad and mental, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not hurting anyone, but it is quite
I'm just fascinated that he says that digital photography can pick them up. So where's the photo, Noel, if you're listening? I want to see
hundreds of photos you could provide if you wanted.
Yeah. So how do we get onto that? We were talking about Cilla Black. We were talking about your Cilla Black thing.
Yeah, I do have a fascination with all sort of like semi-obscure but not really celebrities and pop culture. I do find a lot of joy in that, and I find that the easiest to write about or become.
There was a sketch that we only. Actually, I was talking to someone about this recently, and I've wanted to ask someone else in Normal Boy because I think I'm misremembering something. We did a sketch about Countdown, but when Richard Whiteley,
I knew you were going to say that.
When Richard Whiteley was the host, and I think you played the ghost of Richard Whiteley or something like that, who was hosting the show. Yeah. But the thing that I don't remember is why we didn't do it again, because I'm pretty sure we only did it once, and I remember it going quite well, but for some reason we didn't do it again.
I think it was very fiddly. I remember it being really fiddly, because someone had to have eyes that popped out or something like that.
So that was my favourite bit of the whole thing, was the fact that Sean played Susie Dent, but his only costume for this was he wore glasses, and into the glasses we'd put bits of paper with X's drawn on them. Like she was a cartoon dead person. And that detail alone was enough to make me. I remember saying to you all, like, "But this is so good, we should have this in," because that's the kind of person I am, where if there's one detail I like about it, then that saves the whole thing for me.
So yeah, we've chatted about. I mean, we bounced about quite a bit between jobs, past and present.
Yeah.
But what are you doing at the moment?
So I will just say so I had two lots of eyes. There was boots and specs,
Yeah.
and then I had about a year at a dentist's, which I will just mention. Can't forget that.
Yeah. Let's touch on that. Yeah.
Because that had quite a few stories.
So tell us about working at the dentist.
Go.
So I was a receptionist at the dentist, so I didn't physically do as much as I was at the other places. I was at a desk all day, which was lovely. But but it meant that I had so many strange phone calls from people. Some of them were like, most of the time they were lovely. One or two would be horrible, but then we'd get really strange ones. So the one that sticks in my head the most is one that so this place was like the place I worked at, it was like a holistic place, which really holistic should mean that you're treating the person as a whole, and you're not sort of thinking, oh well, they've got toothache, I'm just going to drill the tooth. You're thinking taking the whole person and really incorporating their treatment, blah, blah. But what that was sort of code word for was mad. I think people thought that meant, oh, if I'm mad, then I should go here. So we got a lot of people that would call up, and the one that sticks in my head was one where I really can't remember her name, and I think I wrote it down because I was so impressed with her name, but for the life of me, cannot remember it. But basically, she was looking for somewhere because she worked with spirits. She worked with spirits, and she was had really bad toothache and had gone to the hospital, and they wanted her to have like a root canal. And she thought, oh no, that's not any good for me. But she thought mainly the issue was the spirits that she was sort of like communicating. So she'd communicate for the spirits. They'd talk through her, and she was having to deal with some really negative spirits. So she thinks that was probably what was causing the toothache. So she basically wanted us to be able to treat her, and I said, I'm so sorry, we can't take any new patients on at this time, especially ones that are not. But she was talking to me for about 15 minutes, and the whole time my face was I think the happiest I've ever looked, because I was spending 15 minutes not having to do anything other than to just listen to all this like madness on the phone, and it was great. I loved it when we got a long phone call like that. Yeah, and it's just a lot of someone came to the dentist like for a checkup and they had no teeth, and it's like, well, what do you want to do? What do you want done here? Because we've got no teeth. What? They didn't want anything. They didn't want any treatment. They didn't want like implants or anything like that. They just came for a checkup.
Literally no teeth.
Literally no. Like they said, they went in about less than 20 minutes later. Out they come, and the dentist said, "I'm sorry, I couldn't do anything for that person. No teeth. You need to start questioning people on the phone." Like what the right treatment for them.
So from that point on, whenever people rang up, you would say, right, first question, have you got teeth?
Have you got teeth, and how many? Enough to warrant a 45-minute appointment, because otherwise it's not worth it. Yeah, there were lots of strange. There was one that the other thing was we do implants, so like every Thursday there would be an implantologist, and that would often include like taking lots of teeth out. And so this one guy had loads of gold crowns on his teeth. Basically all his teeth were like gold crowns and stuff. So they had them all taken out. And one of the dental nurses went, oh, look at this. We'll keep these. So we kept them. Because you'd have to put them in a special bin that would then get collected, and we'd get money for the gold. But that you didn't get a very good rate on it. So basically there was, and I won't name the place, but I think there was going to be a stashing of tooth gold, because obviously needs math.
So the gold doesn't belong to the person whose teeth they were on.
This was the debate that I thought, that was another ethical issue, because they'd paid to have the gold put in, so surely that's their gold, but not. And I guess when they're like out of it, having the teeth pulled out, they probably don't care about that.
That's so weird, because I'm sure that if I had gold on my teeth, even if I had been out of it, afterwards I've gone, oh, I forgot my gold, I better go back and get it so that I can sell it.
And then you go back to find Eva wearing a necklace of your gold teeth.
I've just got completely gold teeth. Ding.
Sorry, mate, finders keepers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were about to
Yeah.
tell this story, but there's another story that I'm quite excited about from when you worked at this dentist place, which is when you had that sort of figurine.
Yeah. So there were two figurines. I think the porcelain one, which was a bit creepy, but the most creepy one was a clay one that was like this really bedraggled. Basically, it was a clay model of this really bedraggled man holding a tray of something, which we thought maybe their teeth, but we're not sure. And it turns out that one of the patients had made this thing for one of the dentists, and they'd hidden it for a while. And then sort of the patient would come back in and was like, "Oh, where's my figurine?" So they had to like take the figurine out and display it again. It was covered in dust, but it would watch me from the corner. So I would be at my desk, and all the way down the corridor on top of the shelf would be the figurine, and it watched me. So I had to turn it around because I didn't like it. It was horrifying.
Did it ever like whisper anything to you?
It could have been. I suppose it could have been phoning me up. Or it could have been talking to me on the phone.
One of the spirits
It was
inhabited
horrifying.
it.
Yeah, it caused tooth decay.
As a dentist receptionist, I'm wondering if you can clear up a myth for me. Being a fully qualified dentist yourself. When I was younger, I went to a dentist, and my teeth were. My teeth were all right, but they're a little bit yellow, as I feel like most people's are. And I remember going to the reception after doing the checkup and saying to my mum, like, "Oh, I think my teeth are a bit yellow. Like, I think my teeth are bad." And the receptionist said, no, that's fine. That's perfectly natural. In fact, they should be a little bit. That's good. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, I think that means they're quite strong. You've got quite a good bit of enamel there, I think, or something like that. But I don't think it isn't bad for them to be yellow. The colour doesn't matter too much.
Really?
It's only if they're some of this yellow is like caused by staining, so like coffee things.
Yeah, like I drink a lot of tea, so I assume that probably contributes to it.
But I think it means you've got strong teeth.
Yeah,
I think
got a strong set of gnashes on me.
But when I joined the dentist, the first thing one of the dentists said was, "Do you want teeth? You need tooth whitening." And also, because I've got fangs, I've got like vampire fangs, which are sort of my trademark, I think. I wouldn't want to do anything with them. But she was like, "You need your teeth straightening and whitening." And I said, "Okay." Not the straightening, thank you, but I'll take the whitening, which I did. And it's alright, it's quite, because my teeth were very yellow as well, but I think it's fine. Just as long as they're not like decaying away in black and grey
And falling
and
out.
fine.
As long as they're there.
Falling out is the big one. Yeah.
Unlike that other guy.
Yeah.
And as long as
Yeah, don't
spirits
go to
aren't
the
possessing your
dentist.
teeth and making them hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My teeth have always like overlapped in the middle on the bottom. So like my middle bottom tooth is behind basically all the other ones. And when I was at the dentist last time, I said, "Is that like, should I do something about that?" And she said, "Well, you could. It would cost you about $2,000, and then it would probably just go back the way it was." And I thought, okay, I'm not going to do that then.
You probably could spend loads of money and it won't work. But like, you're cool. You're cool, mate.
my percentage, my perception of dentists is pretty skewed, because I wonder whether the dentist that I had growing up was actually a dentist, because he was, I won't say where this is, just to, but he was Hungarian, I think. And every time I would go to the dentist, I'd go in and he'd put me on that, chair and poke at my teeth for a bit and not say anything at any point. And then after he'd poked at my teeth for a bit, he would just sit back and look at me and just give me 2 thumbs up like that without saying anything still. And then my mum would just like lead me out the room. And the same thing happened every time. And he never said anything, basically. And he just gave me 2 thumbs up every time. And, I wasn't like a great brusher of teeth. I wasn't like super like hot on it. So I can't believe that my teeth were always perfect, like no notes every time. So
there were always a 2 thumbs up job.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I'm a bit worried that, because I don't know, I haven't been to the dentist for a proper checkup that many times since like leaving home, which is a bit bad. But I'm a bit worried that I will go to like a proper dentist at one point and they'll go, "Oh my gosh, you've been living
had
a
all
lie."
these things since you were a child.
Yeah, like with the
That's very strange.
teeth overlapping in the middle, like that might have been something they could have done something about. But then I might have needed braces and I wouldn't have liked that. So
No, true.
I tell you what, I
Yeah.
used to hate the most about the dentist was when they would be doing that little prodding thing on your teeth, which already felt horrible. But then they would
Oh,
chat to
yeah.
the assistant, and it was like they were slagging you off in code because they'd just be like,
Yeah.
yeah, A1. And A3, and the assistant would be like, yeah, and put it in on the computer, and I'd be like, why don't you just fucking say it to my face, mate? Like, why don't you just say that tooth is not good?
Maybe they were talking
Do you want
about.
to know what that is?
Oh,
Oh, sorry. No.
well, I had
carry
a
on.
theory that it was the
I couldn't-
size of paper that they send you letters on from.
Yeah, this one's an A5 job.
Yeah.
Is that
It's
not
bad news.
it?
That's a bad news. Put that on an
Is that
A5.
not it either?
It's not. So it turns out it's about your gums rather than your teeth. So it's about how healthy your gums are, and like when they prod them, they're seeing like the color that they are, and like the blood, and if there's any like they touch it and it starts bleeding, that's bad. So it's about your gum health, periodontal. Yeah,
That's
periodontal
dinosaur,
health.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's what they do. They dig up, they go ding, 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 and they see a little fossil. And they go,
Yeah,
one.
that's there, Velociraptor there. That's a good one.
Yeah. So yeah, magic's lost a bit now for me, but still, it's fine. Good to know.
I can't even get into a dentist there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
since I moved to Bristol,
Mm.
I think every dentist within like a 5-mile radius is just not accepting new patients.
yeah, we were really struggling. That was when I started. We basically had to say we can't take any new patients on. We have to keep a list, and then eventually we started to be able to take people on like about a year later, just when I was leaving. So yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare currently. And that was a private one. That was a private, wasn't an NHS. Yeah, mad.
What? So you said that was your last job before your current one?
Yeah, so I was there for about a year, and I was finishing. I did like an online degree, so I was doing that as well at the same time, and I finished my job in the summer so that I could finish my like thesis for my degree.
What was that degree?
That was a criminal psychology degree, like online master.
Okay, what made you want to do that?
That was in lockdown when I sort of went a bit mad and didn't have anything to do, and to start with that was really nice, but then I sort of went a bit mad and I thought I have to keep my brain occupied, and I liked sort of true crime stuff, and I find it quite interesting to think about why people do things. So yeah, I decided to do that, and then eventually that took about 2 years, and by the end of it I was sort of uninterested but I had to finish it. So yeah, that was a big deal. And then I had about a good few months of unemployment, 6-7 months or something. Oh, what I can tell you about as well was during that, like after that unemployment, after I left the dentist, I took a job that for about 2 months, and it was that was the worst job I've ever had.
Okay,
I don't want to derail the conversation,
we need
but
to
that
hear all
was
about
awful.
that.
So this is the weirdest job I've ever had and the worst one. And it was basically it was advertised as work from home, like over the phone admin assistant for healthcare stuff. And I thought, well, I can do that. I've done the reception job. So it turns out it was a massive call centre, and all I was basically doing the whole time I was there was answering the phone. So you'd be like, their call would be diverted to us as the company, and I was working from home, and I'd have to answer the phone and pretend that I worked at like a tree cutting company that I'd never heard of or had ever seen the name of before, and it came up on the screen saying "Stump for you" or whatever, and I had to read that out, and they did it phonetically so you could quickly go, "Hello, Stump for you, thank you for calling," and you had a list of rules that you'd have to follow, and you'd never seen this company before, didn't know what it was, but you had these little list of rules that you'd have to quickly like scan while all these people were telling you their name. And it was horrible. It was awful, because I'd get questions like, "Oh, sorry, when you were open till?" I had no information about when they were open till. I had to say, I don't know, probably about 5.
What?
Is Sally in the office? Read the instructions. No, Sally. No, sorry, Sally's not here today.
Oh my God.
Sally's not
Like
here
a virtual
today.
call centre.
I'll leave a message. Yeah, but there were some places that would specifically, like in big letters on their information sheet, when you got a call from this call to this place, would say, "Do not ever let them know that you are a call operator. You're answering machine service, basically. You have to pretend that you work there."
What?
And so you'd have to like make up all this stuff like on the fly about like these people that you never knew, and this company that you'd only just found out existed today. And one of the worst bits of it was I kept getting calls to the same guy called, I won't say his first name, but his surname was Diamond, Mr. Diamond. And I kept getting calls to Mr. Diamond's office. And it'd be 3 times a day, every day for that 2 months. So, this is such and such insurance company. Can we speak to Mr. Diamond, please? This is it's very urgent. Or such and such company. This is the last call for Mr. Diamond because he's not paid his bills. So there'd be all these different bills. And to start with, I managed to we'd hear from Mr. Diamond every so often saying like, "Oh, thanks, you're doing a great job. That's fine." But then I stopped hearing from Mr. Diamond. Everyone stopped hearing from Mr. Diamond. I got a call from Mr. Diamond's landlord saying, "I haven't heard from Mr. Diamond." What's going on? So then, obviously, I just assumed, oh, Mr. Diamond's faked his own death to escape all of these insurance companies. It was horrible. It was really stressful, and it was like improvising, but in a horrible way, and lying to people constantly.
So I'm a bit confused. So you would protect. So it's like they're calling up the company to ask them a question about something, or like customer service, and you're just pretending to work in the office and answer the phone.
Yes, and all you can say really is, unless the rules are otherwise, all you can say is, "Oh, I'm so sorry, that person's not in the office at the moment. Can I take a message for them?" Which most of the time people are like, "Oh, that's fine." But then they say, "No, can you not just get them to call me can you not just like pass me on to someone else?" And I had no capacity to do that. I only had a certain amount of numbers that I could transfer through to or whatever. So, yeah, so it got really confusing for my poor brain because the company was called what the company I personally worked for was called one thing, but I had to pretend like. But every call I got through for that amount of time, I was on that strange random company's time. So I was being employed by them for 30 seconds. That was their way of like saying that it was legit and that was fine. It was such a strange thing.
So like if you're a small company that doesn't want to hire any staff, then you just go, okay, I can pretend that I have staff.
Yes.
Pay a monthly subscription or something, and it will go through.
Absolutely.
To
that was
mental.
I mean, that was exactly
obviously you hear of big companies outsourcing call centers to different countries because it's cheap labor, but I've never known there to be a company which just pretends to be the call center for any old like business that will sign up to them.
I think it happens way more than I realised. I think the amount of times I must have called somewhere and you hear it click and then it carries on ringing. That's it going out to a company like the one I worked for. And you'll get someone answering, but they will be very, very vague and say, "Sorry, someone will call you back." And it's just, I never realised that's what was going on. But yeah, that's probably what it is.
That is bizarre.
Yeah, it's horrible. I felt so like weird doing it. Yeah, it's horrible. I don't recommend.
No, definitely not. I mean, call centre work is just degrading.
Yeah,
speaking from experience, it sucks the life out of you.
It really is horrible. And they timed us. Everything was timed. So if you opened up a web page, you have to write a thing saying, "I'm opening up a web page," start a timer, and then open up a web page and then stop the timer. And then you get paid for 15 seconds of opening a web page. It was like you'd have to stop your work timer when you went to the loo and then come back. And it was just like, yeah, it was horrible. It was bizarre.
So you did that for a couple of months, you said?
A couple of months, and then I quit, and I said, "I'm so sorry." I was in my probation still. I said, "I can't do this anymore. It's horrible. I'm not good for it."
Yeah.
So I quit, and then luckily, because I thought, "Oh God, this is another long time in employment ahead of me," but luckily, I applied for this job in London at another opticians, like fancy opticians, basically, and got it like within a few days. So yeah,
nice.
It's good.
And that's where you are now?
Yes, yeah. It's a very fancy one. I'm not fancy, but the place is fancy. That's like an independent one, and it's like near Harley Street, basically. So you get all sorts of fancy people coming in.
I've been to one of them once because my former employer paid for eye tests, and when I realised this, I thought I'll treat myself and I'll go to like one of those independent ones rather than to Specsavers.
Yeah.
And I felt like I didn't belong there. And also, that was the first and only time. Because like we talked earlier about when they blow onto your eye with that machine. I cannot emphasize enough how much I'd never heard of that concept or until I went to this place. And then I'm pretty wimpy with eyes anyway. So like when I was little, I couldn't even, there was a couple of times I had to have eye drops and I could not do it. My mum would have to like hold me down and I would still be going like squinting and like shaking and trying to, like, I just could not do it. And then I was having this eye test because all I'd ever had was the kind of like, is this better or is this better or is this better? You know, that kind of thing. But then she got this weird looking machine out and held it up to my face. And I didn't know what was going on. But, you know, obviously you're quite prone in that kind of situation. You just let it happen. And she was like, just look into this. I think you have to focus on a dot or something, don't you? And so just focus on this for me. And I was going, okay. And then it was like, boom. And I went, like, what the hell was that? And this horrible like burst, and I felt like I was under attack. It felt really, it felt really horrible. And then the whole rest of that. So I was thinking, I'm never coming to a fancy optician again because, you know, I was thinking maybe that's only something they do in fancy opticians.
Yeah, I've never heard of that either, to be honest. But I was sort of just going along with what you guys said. But I've never had that done either.
Yeah.
The sickest thing I ever had was, sorry, Eva. The sickest thing I ever had was Specsavers had a machine where you would stick your head in it and it tested your peripheral vision. And it was like you strap your head in and it felt like a video game because it was like all around your peripheral there was little green dots that would flash up and you had to click a button every time you saw a dot. And obviously I was like, okay, Gamer Boy activated, and smashed it, got like 40 out of 40, but that was sick. That was really cool.
I have to do so many of those. I have to do so many. They don't do the pressure, the puff of air. They don't tend to do like get Specsavers and stuff like that. They won't do that unless you're over 30, so they probably wouldn't have done that for you. That's probably why. But yeah, that fields test I did one the other day. I had to do like get it ready for someone to do one. I have to stand there while they're doing it, and they were doing the worst that I'd ever seen anyone do a test. And I was getting really worried because this is like they couldn't see anything, and I thought, I've done something wrong. Like something wrong with the machine. But I hadn't done anything wrong. And then it turns out, because I was worried about it the whole day, turns out they were there for a medical legal, basically a referral. They needed the appointment for a medical legal referral. And they were essentially hamming up. They said that they'd fallen over and hurt their head and that they couldn't see anymore, which the optician found out was not true.
Oh, wow.
They found out they could see eventually. And so they were hamming up that they couldn't see anything in this test, and I'd spent like 20 minutes with this person trying to get it, and they were lying to me. Ridiculous.
They're playing the game.
Let's move on to the final bit of the episode now, where we talk about your dream job. So right off the bat, do you actually, as of now, have a job that you think about as your dream job?
My dream job, I think, is still actually to do with animals. I do think it would be running some kind of animal rescue, and whether that would be something where I'd have to sort of win a lot of money to start with, and then run the animal rescue. But that would be my dream job currently, is to have like little animals that I rescue and look after.
Well, Eva, we have the power to give you that dream. So money's not an object in this.
Okay, great.
One thing I'd be interested to explore, though, is obviously you mentioned that you did your criminology degree. Yes. Whether we could bring that in and make it almost like a crime fighting aspect.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'd love that. And I hate injustice, and I hate sort of injustice towards animals. So that would be a very good one. I could start fighting people that are mean to animals and taking them away.
Like the RSPCA, like the paramilitary wing of the RSPCA.
Rogue RSPCA, yeah. I remember we used to live next door to someone that wouldn't look after their dog, but they'd put food and water for them, and they'd had shelter, but they weren't very nice to the dog. But because they had food, water and shelter, the RSPCA couldn't do anything. Whereas as a vigilante, I would be able to do something.
Let's say we give you the money, so you're able to buy a nice bit of land somewhere and set up a sanctuary. So obviously normally if you've got an injured animal coming in, you take the injured animal in, you care for it, that's it. But in this, the animal arrives and as well as caring for it, then you're thinking, okay, we need to get to the bottom of what happened here.
Yeah.
How did this happen? And
It's a
then
case.
Yes.
Yeah.
and
A
then maybe
detective, yeah.
you have the initial, like you care for the animal, you hand it over to some nurses that work on your sanctuary, and then you put on your like police jacket and you get in your car and you're like,
Yes.
right, I'm off to solve what happened here.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, that's ideal. I can
Would
solve a
you-
little mystery.
Do you want a badge and a gun?
I'll have a badge.
You don't
I'll
want a
have
gun.
a badge. I don't. What else could I have with it? I don't know if I'd be a bit scared of the gun. I think.
What
I'll
if
have
it wasn't a
badge
real
and-
gun, but it just was like to make people think you had a real?
What if
Oh,
if
yeah.
it was a gun that shot dreamies or like dog biscuits?
Yeah,
So you
right.
could-
Yeah, I love that.
So when the dogs come in, you could be like, stick them up and just shoot dog biscuits at them.
Paw. Yeah, great. I'll do that.
But you can turn this. You can change the settings. So the default is that like a dog treat will just slip out the end, but you can like crank up the speed so that actually it becomes like a bullet. So you can actually
Dangerous,
shoot
yeah.
someone.
Like the rubber bullets they use in
Yeah.
riots. It's a dog biscuit.
You actually just shoot you find someone who's been like killing animals or something, shoot him, and he's got like a dog biscuit shaped hole going through him where you just
It's my
fire,
calling
like-
card, yeah. Oh, I love that. I'd be very happy with that.
What would your like uniform be like? Would it be like a kind of police uniform? I'm imagining epaulettes, and it would be quite kind of like
Oh, really?
yeah.
I
I
was
don't know what you're
immediately
thinking.
imagining a trench coat. I was
yeah,
immediately
yeah.
imagining a trench
my
coat
mind
and
went to a dusty trench
trilby.
coat, yeah.
Yeah. A little
Like an
hat.
LA
Trilby,
Noir
yeah.
style, like
Yeah.
detective, yeah.
Yeah. A cigar,
we-
but I would never light it.
Because I know again from another, it might have been a Normal Boy sketch where you play a noir detective, I think.
Oh,
So I
yeah,
know that you can do the voice. What would your
That's my go-to voice.
animal detective in a trench coat voice be?
Was it? I gotta go avenge those. Hang on. Okay. Those cats. I gotta go avenge the cats. It was a cold and stormy night. I don't know, something along those lines. I see. Stick 'em up. Yeah, that sort of thing.
Like a proper Columbo, like when you confront
Oh yeah,
the
and
when you
another thing. Yeah.
There's just one detail I'm missing here.
There's a paw print right here, and I'm not sure where it came from. Yeah, that would be perfect.
Would you exact justice against animals as well as humans? So say you had a cat come in that had been injured and you investigated and you realized it was because a dog had like attacked it or something. Would you then arrest the dog, or is it only humans that you're going after?
No, I think we can't blame animals for their nature, but I can blame the owners. And
Okay, right.
I will arrest them.
And are we thinking that you've got police powers in that sense that you can arrest people?
They've given me the city to the key to the city. I mean, they've given me I am a Batman. I think it's a Batman situation.
Yeah.
They're just glad something's been done.
Are there any animals that you would refuse to treat? Like, are there any animals that you don't particularly like that you wouldn't be interested in investigating, or are you pretty much like a friend to the whole animal kingdom?
I do love all animals, but I'm worried. Honeybadgers scare me, and I don't think I would treat a honey badger.
Why
Well,
specifically
I'd get
honey
someone else.
badgers?
Because they can turn around in their own skin. So if you hold them by their scruff,
What?
they just turn around anyway. It
What are you
doesn't
talking
hold them
about?
back. What do you mean?
They can turn around in their own skin.
If you hold an animal by its scruff, it's like sort of like dangling there. It can't really move.
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
much. If you held a honey badger by its scruff, it would be able to move anyway. It just can move in its own skin. I really
So
don't
it's
want to have
almost
to.
So it's almost like its skin's not attached to it. It can sort of
Kind
move.
of. I think that's
it's
kind
fur,
of
I
it.
guess. It can sort of move inside of itself, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, it's so got such like it's so.
I mean, hang on.
Loose.
Like,
I don't-
if I moved around in my own skin, like if my all of my innards and bones, and everything were able to move independently of my skin, and I like started like turning to face backwards while my skin stayed the same way, like my eyes would move out of position and everything, like that's what I'm struggling to imagine here. Like you're holding a honey badger by the scruff of its neck, and like it's
I think
like
I've worded it incorrectly.
it's a bit like it's in a bag, and the thing that's in the bag just starts moving around. So then, like, its skull is where it's like, back would normally be.
It can't be that, can it? No. It must still be able to see, to bite. But I don't know how. I can't think of how it. That is fact. It's a fact that has never left me.
Yeah, so it says here, its skin functions as a loose set of garments for the animal to move around in.
What?
So it's almost like the skin is like a jacket that it's wearing. It's not actually attached to it. I've just found a YouTube video called "An Animal Nobody Wants to Mess With."
Yeah, see, I would let someone else look
to be
after
fair,
that.
they are terrifying.
Yeah.
I really think that when we release this, we're going to have to post a link to that video just so I feel like more confused than I've ever been in my life. So I feel like the listeners are going to really want to know what's going on here. Okay, so you have here's something for you. So let's say that someone out in the world has caught a honey badger and has been holding it up by the scruff of its neck, and the honey badger accidentally like puts itself back to front inside its own skin. So like it's its rear end is where it's in its head skin, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And then it got stuck like that, and it showed up to your animal vet, would you treat it?
Yeah,
and you can just hear the honey badger inside itself going, "Oh God, spin me back round, Eva."
Oh, of course, I'd have to help it. Yes, I would. I'd be scared the whole time, but I couldn't deny that.
At least then you don't have to do an investigation, because obviously it did it to itself.
Yeah,
so
case closed, I think.
Yeah, case closed. Don't do it again. Here's a lollipop.
Yeah, off you trot. Don't bite me. Don't turn around in your own skin again.
I prescribe you not turning around in your skin.
Don't turn around in your skin like they're loose garments. Don't do that.
How are you with creepy crawlies like spiders and things?
I'm fine if I'm aware of them and I'm in their space and that I know that they're around me. I get a bit worried if there's a surprise one, because I worry that I'm going to squish it or something like that.
Okay,
but once I woke up in the morning with a grasshopper on my head, and I didn't like that very much. But that was a lot to do with the fact I thought I could have rolled over and squished this grasshopper, and then I'd have killed the grasshopper. So no, I like creepy crawlies most of the time. I'm not flies aren't great. I don't like flies, to be honest. But that's probably about it.
Where, like, if this bit of land that you've got this place on, if you could pick anywhere for that to be, where would it be?
It would have to be Wales. I have to go back to Wales and have a lovely bit of land in Wales.
Brecon Beacons.
Brecon Beacons. It'd be a bit hilly, but it'd be all right.
Yeah.
I'd find a nice stretch of land. Yeah, little cottage in the Brecon Beacons. That'd be lovely.
Oh, that's nice. Are there any Welsh animals, or any animals that are only in Wales?
Oh, there's a whole thing about red kites, which basically they were down to like the last few breeding pairs, and they managed to bring them back from the brink in Wales, in Powys, the county where I used to live. So we used to see a lot of red kites and stuff.
What
I think
red
they're
kites?
pretty much every. They're I've got a necklace with a red kite on, but you can't see that. But it's a bird of prey basically, with a kite sort of forked tail that's quite recognisable. They're very beautiful.
They're gorgeous.
I'm
just looking them up. Yeah.
Jordan, were you imagining
now,
a kite as in the toy?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, big red kite. beautiful, majestic animal. Yeah, the red.
So you were
The
sitting
red
there
kite.
thinking that I'd asked Eva what animals are native to Wales, and she said, "Oh, like a children's
Yeah.
kite."
Yeah, like kites and hot air balloons and stuff like that, really. Yeah.
It turns out Eva thinks that kites are alive.
Yeah, this whole time I'm just trying to do a sanctuary for like sand castles and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Kites would be really scary if they were alive, because there's something about they're quite unpredictable anyway. Like I
I
remember
hate
when I was
kites.
when I was quite young, someone told me a story about like someone having their legs cut off by a
Ooh.
kite at the beach or something, and ever since then I've
What?
wanted to stay.
That sounds made
Yeah,
up.
I'm sure it is, but when I was 6 and someone told me that, and I had no reason to doubt it, I've stayed pretty far away from any kites I've seen ever since. If they were alive, I don't like the idea of something being alive and shaped like a diamond, apart from Mr. Diamond.
Yeah, Mr. Diamond.
He could be,
Yeah, I hate
maybe he
kites,
was
they
a
could be my
kite. Maybe that's
He could
why
have been.
he wasn't responding
So
to any.
so hard to pin down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just flying around.
So we mentioned that you have some staff, like some nurses and things.
Mm.
Do you have kind of like peasants' cottages on the outskirts of your land that they live in, or do they just turn up for the beginning of the shift and go again?
Whatever they like, really. I don't really want to be friends with them.
Yeah.
I'd rather not be friends with them. As nice as I'm sure they are, I'd rather not have to sort of force myself to have friends.
Okay, you
Make fun
probably
of
would
them.
rather that they had their own houses somewhere else and they just turned
Yeah.
up to work. Okay.
Yeah,
We
we
can
could
arrange
have like a
that.
Cadbury's situation going on, but
Oh,
just a
yeah.
bit further away.
Yeah, like a
If they
little
wanted
town.
to.
Are you
Yeah.
imagining that this is like up a hill? So when you're in your cottage on the actual like place itself, you can look out the window and look down the hill on the town with all your employees in it. And
Yes. I
And
like
you're
that
the
idea.
queen.
Yes, and I sit on my big chair.
yeah,
Yes, I like that too.
wear a little crown.
Yeah. Yeah.
like Ellen DeGeneres. Like they may not look you in the eyes when they're.
Yeah. You look after my animals and we do a good show, but that's it. Yeah.
Do you feel like with this current job that we've given you, is it meeting all of your needs? Is there any aspects of your life that you feel like haven't been covered by this job?
I would still like to do some comedy, I think. So I think I would have to do a little show for either for the animals, like in front of the animals, or like a benefit night that raises more money for the animals.
Yes.
I think that would be nice. Like having like one a month, I think would be good enough for me.
So
or
would
less than.
yeah, would you like it then? Like you're able to do regular like comedy shows where all the proceeds go to your charity, and that is enough money to sustain your
Oh,
charity
yeah.
just by itself.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd get some big names on, but also friends and things.
What big names would you get on?
I was just thinking that actually because I'm not sure how many big names I like.
Michael McIntyre.
No.
Peter Kay.
Yeah, Peter
Peter
Kay.
Kay. Now he's
I'd
touring
have
again.
Peter Kay,
That's the
yeah.
second time we've slagged off Michael McIntyre on this podcast.
Is it? Oh dear.
So you wouldn't have Michael McIntyre.
No.
What would be your first like well-known act that you'd have do your benefit show?
I quite like more American comics and stuff, I think. I'm not sure if I like any of the British ones. Just trying to think. Oh,
Really? You don't like any
Vic and Bob.
British
I'd have Vic and
comedians?
Bob. I'd make sure I'd have Vic and Bob.
yeah.
That's what I'd do.
And
Yeah.
I think I might just be misremembering, but I think Bob Mortimer does
Yeah.
like animals,
Cat
doesn't he?
charities and stuff. Yeah, he does a lot for that.
Yeah,
So Vic,
he would be well up for that.
I think Jim Moyer Vic's retired now from comedy, but I'd get him back. It would be fine. He'd do that.
You'd get him out of retirement.
Yeah, he likes birds and stuff, I think. So yeah, I think that'd be
Yeah.
fine.
Oh, don't we all, Eva?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so like,
Could we also incorporate the crime fighting aspect into it, where maybe for some of the shows, you could set it up like a sting operation, where you maybe the people that you're after or that you are known to you as being animal abusers,
yeah,
you could invite along under the pretense of like, oh, we're just doing a show, free show, come along.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
it's like you're doing the show, and then the big reveal is that the police vans pull up behind,
yes,
and you're like, Send them to the clink,
And
boys.
everyone applauds. And everyone, woo,
Yeah.
woo, and they love
And just
it.
a follow-on question: out of all of the well-known comics that you know, which one do you think is most likely to be a secret animal abuser?
Oh, what's the Keith Hull? Keith Hull, the one that was with Emu. Which one's the one with the Emu? That
Rod
one.
Hull?
Rod Hull.
Rod Hull.
Yeah. Is he gone now? Probably him.
I think
Yeah,
so.
Rod Hull's dead, yeah.
That's all right then. Him. He's dead. That's fine.
Okay. So are you saying that he abused emus?
Yeah,
Well, he
I
had his
think that-
fucking hand up in, didn't he?
I think. he
Well,
probably-
I mean, we might be reading the situation differently, but I'm pretty sure that Emu was the one that was abusing him in
But
most cases.
you've got
Have you
to-
not seen like when he threw him into a chest freezer in a supermarket?
you got to question why though. Why is he doing that? Why is he acting out? What's the motive for
Yeah.
Emu to be doing that?
Well, that's the thing, because, you know, like you take Staffies as a breed, they've got such a bad reputation for being violent dogs. Every Staffy I've known has been like soft
Yeah,
as butter.
it's the owners, isn't it?
And it's just the owners, isn't it, that make them violent, make them aggressive. So
So that.
Rod needs to have a long, hard look at himself. Well, I mean, he can't now, but
Yeah.
He needs to have a Rod Hull look at himself.
Yeah, it does.
nice.
So let me recap then your dream job.
Okay,
So we give you however much money you need. You buy a nice plot of land in Brecon Beacons in Wales,
Yeah.
land of your forefathers.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Then you set up kind of like, I guess it's a it's like, I want to say animal sanctuary, but it's more than that. It's like an actual veterinary practice
A
with an animal sanctuary.
rehabilitation. Yeah.
Rehabilitation, like rehab, but
Yeah.
no, not like rehab actually. A rehabilitation center for animals. So the door will open. I imagine it's like a garage door, maybe opens, and like an animal ambulance comes in,
Yeah.
and like like a sloth on a gurney gets pulled out,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
sloth has a broken leg. Move it onto the table. You start to treat it, and then when it becomes clear maybe that the sloth isn't like mortally injured, you go, okay, to your staff, the nurses, you take it from here. I need to go and find out what happened here. So you go, put on your trench coat,
Yeah.
get in your police car. What kind of police car?
Definitely no roof. I don't want a roof.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able
You
to.
want a convertible.
Yeah, I want a convertible. and
Convertible police car.
yeah.
I love the idea of that.
I want it to be very low to the ground and only 2 seats in it. Basically, I want a sports car.
One for you and one for the perp.
Yeah. I want to be right next to them the whole time.
I'm sitting right beside you.
Yeah, really uncomfortable.
So you
ride.
you have all the powers of a constable and more.
More, yeah. They let me do
you
what
drive,
I need to do.
you drive to the scene of the sloth injury, and then you carry out an investigation. You've got a gun that fires dog treats.
Yes.
The default setting is it just fires them out. It goes ploop onto the ground, and then the dog can eat them. But you can crank it all the way up so you can fire a dog treat so hard it can punch a dog biscuit-sized hole in a man. That's only for if you really need it.
Yeah.
If you run into a real wrong 'un. And are you imagining that these investigations, potentially they could take you all around the world? You might have to travel to other countries to pursue the investigation. Are you imagining is that kind of deal?
Well, I mean, I'd be happy to, yeah. Actually, I hadn't considered that, but yes, I would be happy to. That'd be a nice way to see the world as well.
You pursue these people to the ends of the earth. When you've exacted justice, you come back and you sit, I imagine, in a rocking chair by a big window at the top of this hill in your cottage, and you look down at a nearby town full of your employees that you've built, so they're far away from you, but you can still watch over them.
Yeah.
Are you happy with this job, Eva?
Yeah, I really like it. And then...
Don't forget the honey badger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you be worried if that honey badger scenario that we talked about happened about once a month?
Oh, once a month.
Yeah, would that bother you? Because there's a
What?
lot of honey badgers in Wales,
Right.
I've heard,
So it's
that
not.
are inverting themselves within their own skin. And they need a hero, Eva.
Yeah, as long as it's not the same one that's not listening to my advice, that's fine. I suppose I can do that. But if it was the same one, I'd get a bit annoyed, actually, about that.
Okay, you want the feeling that even though it's inconvenient, you're reforming these honey
Yeah.
badgers.
And I'm hoping that as they have honey badger babies, they'll teach their babies not to do that as well.
Okay.
Eventually.
Okay, yeah, I think
But
we
I
can do
won't
that for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, are you happy to shake on it?
Yeah. Straight. Lovely.
Well done.
Perfect.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You got the
guys.
job.
Oh,
You got the
thank
job.
you,
When can you
guys.
start?
Right away, right now. I'm on a train.
Okay. Good.
Amazing.
Well, thanks, Eva. This has been
thank
very
you.
fun.
Yeah, it's been
I
great fun.
have learned a lot about honey badgers in particular and various other things.
Yeah, eyes, teeth, honey badgers. That's a lot.
The name of your autobiography.
Yeah.
Eyes, teeth, honey badgers. A Life of Colour by Eva Wallis. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Eva. It's been really
You're
fun.
welcome. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Honey, I'm Badger.
Jacob, you're back.
Oh my gosh. That whole bit with the honey badgers, I have to say, and several other bits in that, I wasn't sure, like, I left, when I was editing it, I left all of the laughter in, but the laughter went on for a long time quite often. A couple of times I was thinking, should I, just to keep it a bit tighter, should I bring it down? But oh my gosh, I had to leave it in because that she'd bring up honey badgers at all was funny. And then the fact that she thought that they were a bag containing a skeleton that was the real honey badger.
Yeah, just the image of that really made me squirm a bit. But every day's a school day.
Every day's a school day. Did it make you want to crawl out of your own skin?
It did. If only it wasn't bloody attached to me. unlike a honey badger, where the skin is not attached, apparently.
Well, as you may remember from the intro, Jordan is a very sickly, tired boy. And because we're very organized, we recorded the intro and outro on the night of Sunday, the 12th of November, which is the day before the episode was released. So it might be yesterday from your point of view if you're listening to it on the day of release. Well, it would be yesterday. So I think we should go to bed, or at least Jordan should. I've got to edit this intro and outro now, so that's good.
Well,
no rest for the wicked.
No, and before you get yourselves all tucked up in your Jimmy Jams, with your nice glass of milk, why not give us a like, give us a rate, give us a review on any podcast platform that you're listening to us on, and check out the socials as well. Careers Med Podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Go check us out. Watch it in bed. And then sort of hold your phone above your face whilst you're watching it, and then your phone can fall out of your hand, and as it hits your face, your nose can hit the like button. Yeah, if you give us a 5-star review with your nose, that's actually a 25-star review when you think about it.
Yeah.
So give it a try. Give it a go.
Yeah, why not? And we'll be back on, and I always forget to work out what the next date is. We'll be back on the 27th of November for episode 7 with a new special secret exciting guest. It's going to be a very fun episode. We've already recorded it, so we know it is. And after that, then we've got episode 8, and then we've got the Christmas special,
which you are not going to want to miss.
That is a real peach. But
yeah,
we've got 2 very exciting. I can't believe we only got 2 episodes between now and the Christmas special. That doesn't seem right.
It's come round quick.
It's come round quick.
Don't even want to think about Christmas, babe. Don't even remind me. Can't even think about it.
And on that impression, we leave you with a little bit more music. Bye-bye.
Bye.